Yefimovich, Chapter 3. He sat there in his chair, fist to forehead, pondering the words he wanted to say. The room was dimly lit by the desk lamp that hovered over him, suspended in air, silent. He had grabbed his pen resting on the old rustic desk and scribbled the words he held within his mind, bringing them to life in the world in which he lived. Yefimovich looked out his window, and his eyes saw winter coming to the desert world of Yizra. The morning air froze the sands, crystallizing them until the heat of the sun broke them free from their prison, once more to roam the desert plains, barren to the eye, but filled with life beyond imagination. The fire cracked behind him in the early hours, as the sun had slowly risen off the horizon. His brain tinkered with words as he thoughtfully and carefully crafted the characters from pen to paper, noting in the end of his letter with sagacious lexeme, "You were born for this time, and in this time you must stand. Love your father, Yefimovich." He closed the letter and sealed it with a wax the colour green, with the symbol of a rooted pyramid. He switched off the light and waved his hand into the air, as if to say goodbye, choking the fire that burned behind him, letting down a stone wall that fell in front of the fireplace, leaving only the chimney for the blaze to escape. There was a knock at the office door, and Victoria entered the darkened room. "Hello, my dear," said Yefimovich. "I was just finishing up." Without saying a word, Victoria placed a sweet and tender morning kiss upon his lips. "Your ride is on its way, Yeffy. You should get ready for the day." She wrapped her arms around him, feeling the warmth of their bodies together. "When should they be here?" he asked his wife. "In about 20 minutes, she said, releasing him from her embrace. Yefimovich smelled underneath his arms. "I suppose I do smell a bit." He laughed, letting his hands slip down Victoria's waist, and headed towards the master bath of his bedroom to run the shower at steaming temperature, clearing not only the dirt clogged within his pores and sweat glossed upon his skin, but to wash away all that was and ever was, ill and old and dead, both in body and in thought. Yefimovich was washed and readied for the day, renewed, a new man, so to speak, as he headed down to the main floor of the palace. Rivka had laid out his papers and work attire. Victoria sat at the table drinking her morning coffee with a bit of toast slathered in a purple gooey jam that smelled sweet and berried. My, don't you look handsome?" Victoria gazed lustfully at him. "Thank you, dear." He gave a smile and postured himself as if he were a model, giving a series of poses, replicating those in the ads of magazines and holovids. He composed himself as his mind wandered towards the thought of his daughter, knowing that she was coming home today. "What time does Katerina get in today?" "She should be here this afternoon around 3, his wife replied. "Good. I have something I want to ask you two together." "Is it important? What is it, Yeffy?" Her voice was slightly raised. "Don't stress about it, dear," he said to calm her. She gave him a look only a woman could give, and only a man could truly understand. Yefimovich pretended he hadn't noticed the look of looks that says a man is in trouble with the one that he loves, as he occupied himself with his work papers, shuffling them, yet keeping them in order. Rivka came into the room, interrupting the awkward air that was floating in the room. "Excuse me, sir, your drive is here?" Yefimovich smiled at her. "Thank you, Rivka. I'll be there in a moment." He turned to face his wife. "Please forgive me while I'm away for the morning." He kissed her cheek as he left her to breakfast. He stepped outside in the frigid, bracing air, and was greeted, as he always was, by Aero, holding his salute steady until it was returned. "Aero, my boy, how have you been? How's the wife?" "All is well, Prime Minister," Aero said, closing the door behind Yefimovich. "Zimmer is here, sir," said Aero as he entered the driver's seat of the craft, blowing into his hands warm, wet air that left his wide mouth. "Winter is here indeed, yes, in more ways than one, I'm afraid." Yefimovich spoke the words, not wanting to say what they implied. As they floated through the vibrant city, Aero continued the conversation about what might happen should war bring its dreadful face to them. What is being done with precaution. But we must show them our power. We must show them our strength, should they dare cross our lines. Now is the time when we must walk boldly and carry a big stick. He smirked as he waved his stone cane in his hand. Will you go off to fight, Prime Minister? Aero asked with grave concern. Aero, it's important that you hear this. I am the Prime Minister of this country, and as its leader, I believe it is my duty to lead by example. All great leaders, whether villain or hero, lead their battles. They are side by side with their men, not above them. If I am to die in war, should I need to fight, then I will die as an equal upon the battlefield with humility and above all honor. It would be unjust of me to send the sons of mothers and fathers to war if I am not to sacrifice my life as well. This is my country as it is yours, and I have already fought for it, and I will be glad to die for it. Yefimovich spoke a true heart. The vehicle was hushed, as the moment left Aero speechless, until his manners and his thoughts returned to him. Well, I thank you for your service, Prime Minister. You are truly the best man I have ever met. The ride fell quiet again as they drove through the city, passing shops with clothes of modern fashion, bakeries with smells of rye and pumpernickel wafting out its chimneys, and delis with meats and cheese slices being ready to eat. The drive at its end, the hover vehicle pulled up to the gate of the city within the city. We're here, sir. Yefimovich gathered his things, stacking them neatly to carry. The driver opened the door, letting Yefimovich exit the vehicle, and a spark lit the mind as his face met his driver's. Say, Aero, would you and your wife like to come over for dinner? I'd like that, sir. I'll check with the missus, but I'm sure she'll be delighted, he said with a lighted face. Then it's settled. Tomorrow night. What would you like? He asked. I'll have whatever you're having, sir, Aero replied. Very well. Yefimovich gave him a tap on his shoulder. I'll see you in a few hours. Have a nice day, Prime Minister. And you as well. As always, Yefimovich pulled the 2 stones from his pocket and flattened them once more with the palm of his hand, forming his walking cane with the stones as he trotted to the war-room, clicking his cane against the hardened ground. He entered the chamber, and all who were present rose to greet him. Yefimovich took his seat. Good morning. Shall we get started? The generals and cabinet ministers took their respected seats. Yefimovich cradled his cane into a stone and base and called the session to begin. A map of the world lay in front of him, carved and etched on a table made of fine stone and earth. Yefimovich stood, and with a few gentle waves of his hand, he moved the pieces of war into place. General Dmitri, lead the way, sir. Yefimovich took his seat, giving way to the general to rise and talk of a plan of defence with their newly confirmed allies around the world. Thank you, Prime Minister. We believe that Dania and Austria will give way to Holle. We will send troops from Enuarku to support Attica, and we will also send troops to assist Constantinople, though they assure us they are impregnable. Dmitri continued to talk of defensive strategies and ways to maneuver throughout the conflict, moving pieces on the board like a game of chess. And once the room was briefed, he then gave way to Moshe, general of Yisra's naval fleet and twin brother of Voz. While our ground troops push forward to solidify defense, the navy will flank the enemy by sea to supply artillery fire, prior to a charge on Holland troops. While this occurs, we do anticipate resistance from the Holland naval fleet. We expect to counter that resistance with battleships we'll be posting at Mongolarium. Moshe painted the map, adding water and modelled wooden ships to decorate the map. Can they be trusted? Came the questioning voice of Erie. We've been in talks with them the entire week. They seem willing to cooperate. We have made some economic arrangements with the monks that will be highly beneficial to them and should be finishing negotiations by the end of the month. Moshe assuaged Erie's doubts. Yefimovich, I'm surprised you're okay with this. What did Tokugawa have to say about what we plan to do? Erie insisted. The room was voiceless, still as water on a calm summer morning, until the pebble of his voice rippled through the room. Yefimovich spoke. Well, at first, not very happy. But strategically, he sees it as the right thing to do. I'm actually glad you brought him up. Tokugawa has agreed to send 10,000 men to our aid, and we'll be fighting in Constantinople, which will enable us to leave many of our men here to defend our nation. Moshe, please continue. Thank you, sir. Once the Holle Navy has entrenched itself, we will pincer them, leaving them the option to either surrender or die.